a story that made us a victim. A story that said it wasn't my fault. It was the boss, it was the police, it was my family didn't give me enough money. It was a series of unfortunate events that led me to this position. Everything but me. You know? And I also could sell the hope to myself. See, that's the most important thing. I can trick you, but I can also trick me. Because through it all, I knew in my heart that I was getting better. As I was going downhill, I knew I was turning it around. I was coming up to some conclusions, some decisions in my own brain that I'm going to turn it all around. And I believed it. So when I sat across from you, you believed it. I wasn't a bad guy. I was just a sick guy. I was a drug addict. And what was I addicted to? Avoiding uncomfortable feelings, things, and situations, which means that I could change my belief system in any situation and change the way I perceived reality so that I could be okay with it. My brother once said to me, he said, David, I kind of wish I was a little bit like you. Not all like you. I kind of wish I was a little bit like you. I said, why is that? And he said, here you are. Your girlfriend just dumped you. You got thrown out of your apartment, evicted. You lost your job. You're X number of dollars in debt. You have a warrant out for your arrest. You're 20-something years old, and you're living on mom's couch. And yet you act like it's no big deal. Like tomorrow will be a better day. I said, you know, I wish that I could deal with life like that. He thought that I dealt with stress and uncomfortable life situations pretty well. Not really. I just didn't acknowledge it was there. You know, it was part of my thing. Again, part of what I really like to do when I talk to families and friends is understand that nobody stood a chance against me. He didn't. Because I could intuitively know what you needed to hear. And it wasn't because I was a bad person. My grandmother, she just passed away. I got to spend the last 2 weeks of her life at her deathbed. I'm grateful for that experience. Prior to that, even my addiction, she referred to it as my shenanigans, which is the smallest word in the universe that could describe what I was up to, but it fit for her. I was her favorite. My poor brother, who did everything right, the attention was always on me, whether it was good attention or bad attention. My poor brother, he was a little resentful. What's so wrong with me that David gets all the attention? Why does he always get bailed out? Well, I was my grandmother's favorite, and I was unlucky in her eyes. That poor David, he lost his paycheck again. Poor David, he lost his car. My grandmother had a certain perception of me. Where did she get that perception? She got it from me. I sold her a different story. I wanted her to be proud of me. I didn't want her to think bad of me. I didn't want my mother to think bad of me. And I didn't want my dad to think bad of me. See, I'm like, I said 2 people. I'm really like 3 people. There's me, the real me, and I believe that most of us are inherently good. I believe we are. I believe that we want to do well. I believe that we feel guilty when we do bad things. I believe that we want to do better and prosper and do well in life, and that, I think, is the real us. And on top of that was my addiction. This layer on top of it of forget about doing the right thing, just do what feels good. And that allowed me to compromise my integrity. If you do something that is against your nature for long enough, you will go insane. I'm a good guy doing bad things. Good guy doing bad things. Did a lot of bad things. On top of that is the illusion that I project to you so that you don't see the bad thing. You know? That's how every teacher, I've been pulled over so many times, and I was always just the wrong place at the wrong time. You know? I've been arrested probably about 5 times. Should have been arrested 1,000 times. You know? I was cut brakes by people that sincerely wanted to help me. I had an incident in Hammond, Indiana. I got pulled over with some drug paraphernalia and things like that, and 2 police officers took an hour of their time to sit with me instead of put me in jail, to try and talk to me. Say, please, why are you doing this? You know, don't you see what this is doing to your family? It took an hour out of their time, 2 police officers. It's like, hurry up. Thank you. I had a woman once when I was begging for change in California. I'd say that I ran out of gas. If I could hustle up about $10, I could get some more drugs. And this woman said, I'll do it on one condition, if you sit here and pray with me. Okay, fine, it's a short prayer. I was presented with so many different angels and people that came into my life that all said, hey, you have a problem. Hey, I would like to help. Complete and total strangers. And yet I was surrounded by a family that said outwardly that they wanted to help, but didn't. They thought they were helping by giving me a new car or used car with the agreement that I would pay them back. They thought they were helping me when they would bail me out of jail. They thought they were helping me when they would remove the negative consequences of my lifestyle choices. And they weren't. They were hurting me. What had to happen to me has to happen to most people. I had an intervention done on me. And the intervention was my family was just sick of it. And they learned how to step away for the first time. The greatest gift that my family gave me is they gave me the gift of feeling the negative consequences of my lifestyle choice. My grandfather used to say a saying, if the fire is hot enough, the dog will move. I was about avoiding uncomfortable feelings, things, and situations. The only reason I wasn't in treatment or in recovery or spirituality or any of those lifestyles is for one reason. Because at that time, my drug using was more comfortable than any option you guys had. And as long as that condition exists, I'm not going anywhere. My family learned to step away. For a brief moment, my addiction had become more uncomfortable than this crazy idea called recovery. And as a result of the intervention that my family did, I chose to go into recovery and stay there, you know. And that's kind of how it works, you know. You can wait. Maybe one day they'll turn it around, you know. Lost another job, maybe this will be enough. You know, you can wait. Like the guy 3 months ago decided. Sooner or later an intervention will happen. Whether you decide to gather with your pastor or group it up as a family or whether you decide to hire professionals. Sooner or later an intervention will happen and sooner or later everybody quits. You know, how they quit is up to you. It's more up to you than you think. They're not going to figure it out. They rarely do. I didn't. So that's kind of it. Kind of my story a little bit. You can ask either of the both of us any question you want. I'm pretty honest, so I'll do the best that I can. If it's a very personal question, you can ask after because they are taping right now. Is there any questions? Yes?
Most common kid to start drug using?
Most common kid? You know, we've done thousands of interventions across the country. I've been in every state. I've seen the ultra wealthy, super famous people, and I've seen the average Joe. I've seen the farmer, I've seen the millwright, I've seen every kind. I've seen the quote-unquote dysfunctional, chaotic family, and I've seen a super spiritual, you could not have a more perfect family. And the families were all the same. You know, what is the common thread, I think, with kids? I can't say what made them that way, but I can say what puts us in common. Every addict, every kid, every substance abuse that I've ever met has one thing in common. They have a sense of disconnection. Loneliest person in a crowded room. We look at a crowd of people that are hanging out, we just don't quite fit in. And we seek that sense of connection. And we find an artificial replacement, a temporary artificial replacement through alcohol and drugs. Every substance abuser I've ever met has that disconnection. Does that answer your question? Cool. Any other questions? Personal or other?
Describe some of the ways that people enable.
Enable? Mm-hmm. Sure. What did my family do? I'll tell you what. I'm going to give you a scenario. Let's say you. I'm going to make you a drug addict. Wave my magic wand. Poof. You're a drug addict. Let's see if the negative consequences of your lifestyle choice are enough to make you want to change. And don't try and think like a drug addict. Just think rationally like you. So number one, I'm going to take $4,000 a month out of your bank account. Poof. It's gone. With a financial negative consequence